Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind you that when we get to 1,000 subscribers, we are going to be giving away a bowl to one lucky viewer. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to have done is like, subscribed and commented on at least one video. The more times you comment, the more chances you have to win. Right, so let's get cracking. This week we have a few pieces of wood here, and together they are going to make a box. I haven't made a box yet for the channel, so I'm thinking it's time. We've got 2 pieces of oak and 1 piece of laburnum. That's going to be the lid, that's going to be the bottom, and this little thing is going to be the finial. The first thing we need to do is be able to hold this without drilling any holes into it like we would normally do with bowls and things like that. So the best way to do that is with a glue block. Now, if you'd seen the birch vase I made a couple of weeks ago, I was left over with this bit at the bottom when I pared it off. And that's going to be our sacrificial glue block. So we're going to attach that to the lathe, and then we're going to glue this to it so we can hollow it out, do anything we need to it without actually drilling into it. Right, so let's get that stuck on. This bond can be done with hot glue, but to be extra safe, I'm just going to use wood glue. Make sure there's a good covering. I've already been over this face to make sure that it's fully trued up, so it sits nice and square on the place we're attaching it to. Just stick that underneath to catch any drips. We know where the centre of this is, so I'll just put it on our tailstock, push those 2 together, clamp it, and apply some pressure. Not completely centred, but that's as good as we're going to get it. I'll leave that there for about an hour, then I'll take it off and I'll clamp it up separately to dry while we use the lathe for something else. Right, while the lid is setting up, I'll start working on the main part of the pot. Now, this is a piece of oak I've had for quite a while. I got it on eBay for cheap because it does have a few faults. We've got a large bark inclusion. We also have a split on this side. We've got a few shakes. The main thing to worry about for us is this split. As you can see, it's almost ready to come off this whole edge here. So we're going to use that to help base the design. This large bark inclusion we don't have to worry about because this is going to be the inside of the pot, and we're going to be turning most of that away, if not all of it. Right, so the first thing to do is get it on the lathe, kindly marked with a center spot for us for our drill. I'll just put our worm screw on ready. Right, that's very secure, that's not going to go anywhere. It's got a bit of a wobble, but so did the lid. Next steps are to make this round, clean up the base, put a recess in, and then we'll have a look at the shape and figure out how we're going to work it. First thing to do is get the bowl gouge, 1/2 inch standard grind bowl gouge, and give it a quick sharpen. Blimey. Okay. Right, that's the chip, it's still there. So I've covered a nice few shakes around this side, so I'll just go a bit further and see what else delight's appeared. Okay, that's all gone. That one there is an issue. Little prong, and it actually stops in the neck, so we'll have to think about that one. Okay, so I'm just going to go in a bit further on this because this looks like it might open up more, and I'd much prefer to know about all the problems we're going to have now rather than fix some and then have more occur a little bit further down in the line. Okay, right, I think the best way to approach these cracks, these issues, are to dig them out as much as I can just to open up the hole, and then we're going to use some sort of resin to fill them. I don't necessarily want to build a mould and do a resin pour, because we've got them all the way around and at different angles. Any other kind of resin, liquid resin, isn't going to make life very easy for us. I'd have to kind of build a mould, and I don't necessarily want to get into all that, because I'd have to kind of replicate it on the lid as well, because there was a shake on there. So I'm either going to fill it with something and then use a CA glue, or I'm going to use a black Milliput or something. And I'm actually at the moment thinking a nice jet black Milliput inlay would work wonders. Okay, right, let's do the Milliput. Before I do that though, I'll cut the recess just in case it shows up anything else we've got to fix. It should have a couple more shakes on the bottom. Right, I'll mix some Milliput up. If you've not seen Milliput before, it's a two-part putty that you mix together. When it's mixed, it starts to harden. In a few hours, it produces a completely hard resin. I'll start on this big one first. Make it have a sausage shape so I can try and push it into the hole. There's a reasonable chance that this hole, we'll see it again on the inside, but it's going to be nice and easy to fill because we'll just do exactly the same thing. Just make sure you give it a good push into the holes, into the cracks. If you have any left, then you can just make yourself a little snake or something. Last time I used this stuff, I made this little guy. It's a bit dusty, but I'll make him a friend. There we go. Right, I'll leave this set up overnight, and I'll see you in the morning. Right, the next day, the Milliput has set up nicely. So let's just turn this back and see how it's worked. I don't want to take off too much wood because we may find other crevices that we just have to go around and fill again, so I'll stop there. Anything left over we'll get over with sanding, but I'm pretty happy with that so far. Let's have a look at the base. Right, I'm going to do a spot of sanding, but mainly on the base, because this curve up here will probably change a little bit when we're fitting the lid on, and there's no point in going over things we've already done. So sand up the base, just put a bit of wax on there, sorry, a bit of sealer, then a bit of wax, and then we can start working on the next step. A little bit of sealer on first. Okay, a bit of wax. Right, we'll get this turned around and I'll talk you through the next steps. Okay, whiteboard time. What we've done first is we've created the outside of our bowl. Imagine that's symmetrical. What we're going to do now is we're going to hollow it out to create the inside, as you would do with any normal bowl. One thing we are going to do, however, which is slightly different, is we're going to make sure that the first part here is completely straight. Okay, we need this to be straight so we can make a lid fit nice and evenly. It's far easier to make something match with a straight edge as opposed to a curve. Okay, now if you remember, our lid is currently attached to a waste block. Okay, so we'll draw that in. There's the lid, there's the waste block, and there's our lathe attachment. What we're going to do is turn the lid to give us a recess which will fit directly into the lid. Once we've got those matching up, we can just keep on offering up our hollow bowl to it to make sure it does fit, and when it does fit we can put this back on the lathe, put the bowl back on the lathe, and then fit the lid to it, and then we can turn off our waste blank. If there's a little bit of give, in other words if the lid isn't tight fitting, then we can just put some tissue paper between the two and that will hold it together nicely. Alright, anyway, that's the next few steps. I hope you understand that, but I'm sure you'll see as we go along. So anyway, the next step now is to hollow this out. horrible. Right, there's some really hard burls inside this, which are just kicking everything off. So I'm just going to make the recess a bit deeper, just to ensure it can hold and it's safe. That should do it. Just quickly sand that bit. I'm not going to polish it, but I'm just going to quickly sand it. This burl in here is like trying to carve out a rock, but we'll keep going. Okay, that'll do for the width from the bottom. So I'm just going to get the carbide in there and just flatten it off a bit. The tool I was using to hollow it out is the Hope hollowing tool from Hope Woodturning. Now, because we've had to turn the tenon on the bottom, we've lost a little bit of the outside shape, which is absolutely fine. We can fix that, not too much of a problem. And one thing I want to do is just smarten up this inside bit, these edges, and make sure we have that flat parallel rim around the outside just for our lid to fit into. So I'll just do a bit of that now. Okay, right, we've still got these cracks inside to worry about, and one along that side. So I'm going to leave it on the chuck, take it off the lathe, and go back to the Milliput and just fill those pieces. I like to get this all the inside filled with the Milliput, dried, and then turned back and sanded before I start trying to fit the lid to it. Because obviously when you do things like that, you're always going to lose material, and anything we do to the lid now would become useless. And obviously sanding and removing material only makes things larger. Then it's very hard to put wood back onto a piece. Look at that. Okay, before I can start fitting the lid to this, we need the Milliput to have set so we can sand this and finish it. If you're worried about the dull look of Milliput, don't worry, it polishes to a really nice high shine. No, I think that's it. Right, again, we will leave that to set. I'll see you in a little while. Right, that's had long enough to set. So I'll just take some nice light cuts and clear out all the excess. Right, that's pretty good for now. I'm going to get this sanded up and then we'll start worrying about the lid. Right, as per usual, I'm not going to let you, I'm not going to make you sit all the way through the sanding. I'll let you watch the start and then I'll turn it off for a while. Okay, we've gone up to 400. It's quite a tricky thing to sand because some parts which I thought would tear out were just actually parts of the burls. So anyway, we're there. Right, let's get the lid on the lathe. Right, this is going to be the lid. So the first step is to cut the corresponding shape on the lid that'll fit into there. Okay, so first of all we'll get it round, face it off, and then we'll start measuring up. Black bit on this oak, which could mean there's a bit of metal in there, so I've got to keep an eye on that. Got lots of room to spare, so I'll quickly measure our inside diameter. About 104 mil. So which is just over 4 inches. So half of that is about 52. So we'll put a radius on here of 52. A little bit more. Work that down and then fine tune it. I'm erring on the side of caution first of all. Quick sanity check. Yeah, so 110. So yeah, that's the good starting point for us. Nice and safe. Right, we don't need to go much deeper than that. we're not making like an airtight seal or anything like that. We're just a nice loose fitting lid. Right. Right. Obviously we are way off, so I will start just inching in. There we have it. Oops. There we have a nice perfect fit. Right, I'm just going to chamfer this a little bit so we can get a nice tight edge. Let's give us a nice tight fitting lid with virtually no gaps around the outside. It's just this angle where this wood will meet the lid. Sorry, will meet the base. If you just cut it in a little bit as opposed to being completely parallel, then this edge will sit an awful lot tighter to it. I wonder what that is. Anyway, we'll continue. Right, now I don't necessarily want a flat across the inside of the lid. I'd like a nice curve in there. So I'm just going to hollow this out a little bit. Take a bit of the weight out of it. Quick last check. Yeah, happy. Right, let's sand this up. I might just put a bit of sealer on it as well. Before I put the polish on, I'm just going to do a last final. Good. Yep, no problems there. A bit of sanding has just loosened up the fit, which is what I want because we're going to have a finer finial on it, so I don't want you having to tug hard at it. Right, put the final finish on. Now I'm not going to use a wax like I did on the base, because we've got a shake going through it, and if I put a wax on, then that's going to end up filling that shake and it's going to be hard to get out. So I'm just going to use a nice soft oil and shellac mix. Okay, that's rather nice. Okay, now we've got this in. Next thing we need to do is part it off, and then we can turn it around. That's better. Right, as you can see, we've got the lid nicely attached to the base, so we can start to smooth these sides and form the lid. I'm just going to sharpen up my bowl gouge. Okay, we're pretty much there on the shape I'm trying to create. Just want to see how tight this lid is, because I need to work on this area, but I don't want this coming apart on me. Okay, right, it's tight, but it's not tight enough, so I'm going to put a bit of tape around that. We can take this away. That'll do nicely. Right, I just need to put a little hole in there where we're going to attach the finial. It doesn't need to be very deep. It just needs to be in this. That was a 6mm hole, so remember that, 6mm. Right, I'll sand this top back up while the tape's still there. Bring the tailstock back up, and then we can sand up the rest. Right, I'll bring the tailstock back in and we'll sand up the sides. Right, we've still got the inside to finish. That's probably just a little bit too snug to take off, so I think I'll just sand a bit heavier on the inside of the rim, just so that comes off just a little bit easier. Perfect. Right, I've taken up the inside back up to 400 because we don't want to leave it in its untread way. I'm just going to hit it with a bit of sealer. Just put a little. It's taking that absolutely beautifully, that sealer. You can almost leave that as a finish as it is. Now we'll put the oil and shellac top coat on. Back to the lid. Now, as we need to put a finish on this. Don't really want to tape it again. We could bring the tailstock up. Well, the method I mentioned at the start was paper towel. Put that between it, and that helps wedge it in. If it's still too loose, as this one is, then you can use 2 pieces. Right, I think in this instance I am just going to bring up the tailstock. Just to hold it gently in place while we finish it. Right, now if we weren't making a finial, we'd be done. But as we are, then unfortunately we have another couple of steps to do. Okay, we're all ready to start making our finial. I've got a bit of a Burnham wood prepared here, which we're going to make from. We're going to start off with a 3/8 inch spindle gouge just to start shaping the tip. Now this is going to get fairly thin, so you want to work the tip first and then work backward in segments, because if we start getting it all too thin, then the end will start wobbling and it'll be uncontrollable. Right, pretty happy with the design. This is going to be the base that sits on top of the lid, so I need to do an undercut in there and then make sure we've got a 6mm shaft to go into our hole. too much. Okay, that'll be fine. Okay, now I'm just going to put a light sanding over this before we go to the next step. Now, as it stands, this colour isn't really going to be distinctive enough against our pot we've made, so we need to colour this in some way, and standard for finials is to make them black, so I'll have a go at that. I'm going to use a bit of my Indian ink, which I've used a few times before for the colouring. It's got a beautiful singing voice, this finial. You know the old trick where you run your a wetted finger around a wine glass? Sorry, I'm just playing with it now. Did anybody spot the mistake, by the way? I put a sealer on before I put a dye on. Doesn't work that well. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. You've got to kind of put the pores have to be open for the dye to go into. Don't worry, there's many other ways of making something black. Just going to turn the extraction on for this, sorry. Give that a chance to dry, then we'll wire-wool it and then give it a few more coats. Okay, we're just about dry. This the paint has brought up this bit area here. As you can see, the end grain is just not great, so I'm going to go on with a bit of sandpaper and carefully sand that back. A little clean off. Give it another spray. And we'll repeat this process until we get a beautiful finish. Okay, we're just about done. We're just going to put on a bit of ultra fine Yorkshire grit just to help aid the finish before we wax it. Sorry. That singing really tickles me for some reason. I'm just going to give it a very light touch over with a bit of isopropyl, just to make sure the surface is clean. Oh, what have I done? Paper. Right, square one again. I actually quite like that little bit of wood showing through. Kind of a bit of authentic wear. I wonder if I can get it on some of the other bits. I think I'll class that as a happy accident. I like that. Right, let's put a wax on it just to protect that. This is the wax we're going to put in on. It's Hampshire Sheen. It's a mix of Caranuba and microcrystalline wax, so it's a good combination of gloss and hard wearing. We'll put it on as it's spinning. We have the finial done. Right, let's quickly part this off and then we can attach it to the base. Okay, there's our pot, our lid, fits beautifully. I've just got a bit of thick CA glue. Spray a little bit of fixer material, fixer fluid on the lid, so when these are brought together, I should set up pretty quickly. Just to give that a second. Right, we're all set up, and there we have it. Oak box with ebonized laburnum finial. I'm really pleased with the way this has come out. I haven't made too many finials, but it seems quite nice in proportion as well. I didn't make a tight fitting lid because I don't want people keep on yanking on this to try and get the lid off. So it's just grab, take off, fit for purpose. Well, that's it for this episode. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed making this one. If you have enjoyed it, then I would appreciate a like, a thumbs up, and remember, if you subscribe and leave a comment as well, then you're going to be entered into a competition for a giveaway when we get to 1,000 subscribers, which is getting very close. But apart from that, thank you very much indeed, and I'll see you next time. Oh, I'll put some shots of this at the end. Thank you.